I love the piano. I love playing the piano. The piano is my best and my oldest friend. But many pianists do not enjoy the same relationship. It becomes a foe or an enemy, an adversary. Over 50% on average of pianists in their lifetime, skilled pianists, will develop some sort of playing-related injury. What kind of injuries? It can start with simple fatigue. It can start with strain or a little bit of pain. Then it progresses to tendonitis or medial or lateral epicondylitis of the elbow nerves, or carpal tunnel syndrome, thoracic outlet syndrome, spinal compression, and perhaps even the king of injuries, which is focal dystonia, a neurological disorder that disables pianists from controlling their fingers. The statistics are actually appalling. They are staggering. 26 to 93% of pianists were reported to have had playing-related injuries in a systematic study of the literature. Out of a Japanese study, 77% of female pianists reported having injuries in 2006. Women are twice as likely to have injuries from playing the piano. And in 2010, an Australian study revealed that 72% of professional pianists had reported playing-related injuries. It's about time we change that, but so far it has not changed, not in my 30 years of being in this profession and working in the performing arts medicine field. So these playing-related injuries worldwide remain high, and so far nothing, very little is being done to reduce that staggering statistic. So why am I here before you today? Was my journey always so joyous? No, certainly wasn't. I was born and raised on a farm south of here. My mother was a beautiful pianist, my father a ragtime stride pianist. They did everything they could to make sure that little Barbara, who loved the piano from age, before she could talk actually, got the best possible training, which I did, including in high school, 2 magnificent teachers here at Salem College. But at age 16, I was supposed to play a Beethoven concerto, the 3rd concerto, with the Governor's School Symphony Orchestra, right here at Salem College. But one morning, I woke up and my arm was on fire. My fingers would not move. I was terrified. I went to the piano and nothing happened. I couldn't get the keys down. My mother, always supportive and loving, found a doctor somewhere out in the county who gave me a shot of cortisone for what I assumed was tendonitis. I didn't know that then. But he gave me a shot of cortisone every day for 10 days. So that masked the pain, and somehow I got through the performance. It went pretty well, and I wore the beautiful dress that my mother had made for me. But from then on, I was haunted by the specter of injury. I went to college. I was in and out of the infirmary. I had splints. I had aspirin. I took cortisone shots. I was in the whirlpool constantly to try to get through the various recitals I played. And then finally, I went to Amsterdam to live after graduation and got incredibly lucky. It was dumb luck, though. I was incredibly lucky to meet a magnificent teacher who knew how to back me out of injury. It was laborious, it was painstaking, it took a great deal of time, but somehow she was able to get me to the point where I could actually play not only well, but virtuoso literature with a feeling of effortlessness. She was maximizing my neuromusculoskeletal system, you might say. From then on, I decided to pay it back because I was taught to make the world a better place. Albert Schweitzer was my role model as a child. So I started with gratitude, developing my own system and doing as much research as I could in this field. I developed a method for injury preventive technique. I made a DVD, Freeing the Caged Bird, in '96. And then we've created here at Salem College a certificate program and now a master's in injury preventive keyboard technique. And I was crazy enough actually to go back to school. I went to Columbia University a couple years ago and got a doctorate because I really did want to further my own knowledge in this field and deepen it. Those results are very happy, but for a lot of pianists, the results are not nearly that happy. In fact, there are a number of terrible results. First, financially, they lose their jobs. They lose their scholarships. They lose their place in line in conservatories to study. They search, sometimes in vain, to get proper diagnosis and treatment. So they have high medical bills. And so even if they do get proper treatment, sometimes, a lot of the time, studies show the injury comes back because they don't know what caused it in the first place, which was where I was at, you might say. I didn't know what I'd done. I'd done everything right, I thought. And then secondly, professionally, they lose their credibility. If you can't play, you can't fulfill the duties for the gig. So they don't get asked back, oftentimes. It's too dicey to hire a pianist who's been injured. So they hide. They hide the injury, play in pain. Thirdly, personally, everyone wants to help. Teachers, parents, spouses, all of these people desperately want to help, usually, but they don't know how to help to reduce all of that pain. So personally, what happens is oftentimes these pianists become known as whiners, as hypochondriacs, as narcissists, and the worst I've found from my own study out of Columbia, they are considered mentally unstable by some. And then the worst for me is emotionally, what I saw in my own research study. You hear words from the participants in this study like devastated, despondent, clinically depressed, and even suicidal. As you can see by two of these research participants' quotes. Since music is at the core of my soul, I felt that there was no purpose for me to live any longer. So, what sets the stage for this? Well, a lot of things. As the great physiologist Homer Smith quoted, perhaps in no other human activity do memory, complex integration, and muscular coordination surpass the achievements of the skilled pianist. We're the darlings of neuroscientists. They love to study us because we are combining not only this extraordinary physical skill and coordination, we have to know the emotional content of the piece, we have to know the theory behind it, the history, the style, all of those things. We have to integrate all of that, and we have to do it rhythmically right on the button. So it's thousands of little deadlines we have to hit. So it makes us a little perfectionist, you might say, a little obsessed with perfection. We cannot bat .450 and be considered successful. We cannot shoot 70 foul shots out of 100 and be successful. We have to bat 990. If we start missing notes, we don't get called back. We don't make the audition. And as in my case, years ago when I was in an international competition, I was booted out of the semifinals in Italy because I missed 4 notes in a Chopin ballade. So I knew that's the way it was going to be. I accepted it. That's the way we are. So it makes us perfectionists. Also, we have an extraordinarily repetitive motion activity, thousands and thousands of notes, and thousands of hours. Even on average, a very serious student, young student, will have practiced 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 hours before she or he even gets to college. So I think it's about time that we change this, that we reduce this terrible plague of injury that has not been reduced and that is having a terribly adverse effect on a wonderful cohort in society. But I think we're going to have a paradigm shift in how we think about teaching technique. You see before you a beautiful dancer on the left and a figure skater. What do these two women have in common with this young woman who is sitting actually right here on this stage playing her senior recital? All of them are artists. I think we'll all agree. They create in either images or in space or in sound beautiful, deep, aesthetic experiences for all of us. But they are also first-class athletes. They are optimizing their neuromusculoskeletal system to do extraordinary things and coordinations with their bodies. I do not think that we own in the piano world this aspect of who we really are. We are athletes, not only artists. We are artist athletes, just like the skater and the dancer. So as such, I believe we need to take this injury plague into a room full of experts in multidisciplines. I think we need to build a village. I think we need, as pianists, to also build a basic form. A basic form is a part of every single sport that you all play. You know what a golf swing looks like, what a tennis swing looks like. It's sort of the fundamental coordinations and sensations of getting the ball across the net, if you're trained well. I think we need a basic form for piano. And I think we'll need to call on our movement science colleagues in biomechanics, especially kinesiology, kinematics, kinetics. And also we need to call on the performing arts medicine research people to find out what our special risks are. We need to look at ergonomics. If you can find out how to sit well on the bench while you're at your computer station, surely we can teach how to sit on the bench here in the piano world. And then we need to develop ways of educating pianists. Frankly, I think once we've developed this core of healthy biomechanical principles, we need to also develop ways of teaching it that are based on sports pedagogy, dance pedagogy. Those principles, neurobiologists could talk to us about the neurobiology of learning a complex motor skill, starting with the simplest coordination, like skating forward or playing one note on the piano, and then going to a triple axel or a Chopin etude or a Liszt etude, so the highest levels. How you sequence through that. We already have that information in other fields. I don't think we're learning it. We're not taking advantage of that in the piano world. We need to call on also the somatic educators who can teach us how to self-sense, like the Alexander technique. And piano teachers also. We need to bring them on board into this wonderful village. So the ones who are known for being very successful at what they do in teaching injury preventive technique can share their ideas. And finally, technology. If sports people on the Olympics, you can immediately see motion analysis of what that angle was with the dive, why there was so much splash, all of that. These are all based on principles of biomechanics and what works to get the job done. What works for Michael Phelps to get as fast as he can down that lane in the pool. So we can use that surface electromyography to measure our muscle use so that we can start developing this technical model based on muscle efficiency, based on optimal skeletal alignment as we move. All of these things are there for us if we can just partner with these people and get it together and decide on something. And after that, we need education. We'll need to embed this course in piano technique based on sound science in every single accredited music school in this country and beyond. Because this plague of injury knows no borders. It is worldwide. And then we need to teach our teachers how to teach this. That will be another form of education. Another study out of Columbia very recently of a colleague of mine showed that of 3 of the most famous and really first-class graduate piano pedagogy courses and degree programs, not one of them had a course in technique or in injury preventive technique, not one, much less how to teach it. So obviously, little Joey there on the left didn't get the memo about efficient muscle use, optimal skeletal alignment, etc. Whereas little Maria there looks like she did. Now, I'm not saying Joey isn't incredibly musical, but he needs to be given the chance to optimize and maximize his musicality through these principles. Why should you be concerned? Because music is a part of our lives. every day. It touches all of us in great and small ways. Not only that, but these young people and older people and pianists work endlessly, countless hours, to make sure that we have this pleasure and this joy that enriches our lives. So what shall we do then? We shall, I would suggest, do what I mentioned, but also we need to make sure, it's about time, we put people like this wonderful young girl on a joyous, not a perilous path, so that she can be best friends forever with the piano. Thank you very much.